Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, government reviewing a proposal for the construction of 150 homes on Abaco. Confusion at a COVID vaccination site amid dwindling doses. The public service minister hits back at double-dipping criticism. And 234 migrants repatriated today. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, police were called to a vaccination site on New Providence today as dozens of residents rushed to get their second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine amid a dwindling supply. Kyle Joaquin has the story.
Yes, ma'am. That's fine. And thank you all for cooperating.
A single officer sought to keep people calm as they stood in line and sometimes crammed the front door of Kendall Isaac's gymnasium in hopes of getting vaccinated.
Listen. Hey, everybody step away from your door. Social distancing right now.
When our cameras were spotted, those who crowded the door were asked to move and have some sort of order.
I need social distancing right now. Okay? Nobody else can inside. On this side, who has the white ticket?
Just 2 days ago, Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville said that vaccine supplies are running low. On Tuesday, the Ministry of Health and Wellness released a statement saying that as of next Monday, first doses of the Pfizer vaccine will no longer be offered. As of October 23rd, second doses of AstraZeneca will not be offered. Site Supervisor Charles Moss told Our News he believes that news may have been the reason for the rush.
I think people may have heard the news that the vaccination supply is they're concerned about getting vaccine. That's in the first instance. And after the holiday, everybody, in a long way off, everybody just wanted to get vaccine. And, we had a huge mass here this morning.
No vaccinations took place in New Providence since the start of the holiday weekend. That is, until they opened this morning. Moss said aside from the hundreds of people with appointments, there were many more walk-ins.
We have an extremely amount. As a matter of fact, the crowd over there are all walk-ins. They are all walk-ins, yes. As a matter of fact, we have a section assigned for just walk-ins, and all those seats are filled on the inside right now.
Eventually, more police showed up.
Stop.
Over 700 people were expected to be vaccinated at this site alone today. Moss said his priority is keeping people socially distanced and safe.
We've got a good team, and we're all working together trying to get this matter sorted out and get everybody their job who has the appointments, the senior citizens, and those persons who are walking. So we try to deal with all of that one time so we can move through this as quickly as possible. We're just here to help. And so we continue to tell them social distancing so we can get them through this process much faster.
57,000 doses of Pfizer are due in country early next month. As of last Saturday, 115,000 people were fully vaccinated in the Bahamas, and just under 128,000 received their first dose, not including the single-dose Johnson & Johnson. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Prime Minister Philip Davis pledging his administration's commitment to the reconstruction of Abaco. He revealed his government is reviewing a proposal for 150 homes on the storm-ravaged island. Davis also accused the former administration of neglecting Abaco and making a bad situation worse. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Prime Minister gave an assessment of the situation in Abaco as he gave the keynote address at Abaco Business Outlook on Thursday morning.
Abaco wants change, big change, transformative change, and my government is committed to delivering it.
He insists that now that his administration is in office, it will be a government of action, as he revealed they are currently reviewing a housing building proposal to build 150 homes.
My government is already hard at work. In a speech from the throne last week, my government promised that in collaboration with the private sector and non-governmental agencies and organizations, we will implement immediate relief measures for Abaco, Grand Bahama, and Ragged Island. We are a government which has already demonstrated its intention to keep our promises.
The Prime Minister added that he wanted to say more but could not until more was revealed about the country's financial state of affairs.
After only 4 weeks in office, I'm sure you will understand that I'm limiting my remarks for the time being to broad strokes. There's still much for us to uncover about the public finances But even in this climate, and even with the challenges we currently face, there's much about which to be optimistic.
In opposition, the PLP was highly critical of how the Minnis administration handled the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian. The party slammed the Minnis-led government over the spending of hurricane relief funds, Dorian deaths, and the number of missing, as well as the lack of rebuilding of private and public buildings on Grand Bahama and Abaco. Davis says the fact of the matter is over the last 25 months, there has been little progress on Abaco and even Grand Bahama since monster storm Dorian slammed into those islands and caused widespread devastation.
The neglect of Abaco and Grand Bahama during the past 2 years makes the situation even worse. People cannot live without access to clean, potable water. Homes and businesses cannot survive and thrive without a reliable supply of electricity. Bureaucracy must not overwhelm people's needs to be able to build and buy homes. Safety and security measures are still ineffective.
Now, Davis says in order for their plans to work in Abaco, there has to be full buy-in, and that means there needs to be a partnership between the government and private sector. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, retired public servants who are re-engaged under the Davis administration will be entitled to their monthly wage as well as their pension, according to Public Service Minister Fred Mitchell, who says those employees have a right to collect both. Giorgio Bain reports.
It's not a matter of double dipping, it's about obeying the law, according to Public Service Minister Fred Mitchell, who defended the decision to pay re-engaged retirees a salary and a pension. He noted the Progressive Liberal Party first raised concern over the matter back in 2007.
The Attorney General, who's then Alfred Sears, wrote an opinion at the behest of the Prime Minister to ask whether the policy pursued by the then administration, the then F&M administration, was actually lawful, which is you ask someone to come back and work for you, and then you don't pay them their pension. According to my memory about that decision or that opinion was that the people were lawfully entitled to their pension and you couldn't force them to give it up. So that's the issue, and that's the position we take.
Opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis called the policy change fiscally imprudent. However, Mitchell said the former Prime Minister should not be commenting on the matter.
The leader of the opposition has made so many imprudent financial decisions. I'm not sure that he's actually equipped to comment on imprudence because his prime ministership was a study in imprudence. I would say that the law trumps what his personal opinion is on the matter. And we try to do the best to be fair and lawful in the actions we take.
The Torchbearers Youth Association also slammed the Davis administration, calling the policy of double dipping a reprehensible one that should be reconsidered. The statement adds, the New Day PLP administration will see some of the goodwill that the Bahamian people have afforded them quickly eroded if they continue to implement policy decisions that seem to focus heavily on both reviving and rewarding the old guard within their ranks. Mitchell also responded to the assertion that public servants should be elevated to fill vacant posts during the current economic crisis.
I don't think the policy has anything to do with specific individuals. The fact is there is a legal opinion which says what it says, and that is that you cannot lawfully deprive someone of their pension. They earn the pension. If they come back to work, they're entitled to their wage. We wouldn't do anything which would imperil the finances of our country. If the finances were not there, it wouldn't be done.
Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Meanwhile, Labor Minister Keith Bell says he knows nothing about hiring retirees in his ministry. He was responding to a Tribune article on a memorandum that says Cabinet has agreed that the present policy position, which does not allow re-engaged public officers to retain their pension entitlements, be rescinded.
I know that my government is in support of young persons. I think that there are a number of persons throughout the public service who are competent, who deserve an opportunity. And so I think that you cannot just make a blanket statement in terms of saying you're going to bring back retirees. I'm in charge of the Ministry of Immigration and Labor, and as far as I am concerned, as far as we possibly can, we will not be bringing back retirees in the departments.
The Disaster Reconstruction Authority has spent more than $23 million on post-Dorian cleanup and home repairs on Abaco, according to Aviation Director Algernon Cargill, who gave the breakdown during Abaco Business Outlook.
The government has spent for the DRA almost $10 million in debris management in the Abacos, and another $7.3 million in community cleanup. So quite a lot of money has been spent trying to get Abaco back to normal post-Dorian.
Cargill says to this day, the DRA continues to manage disaster sites on Abaco more than 2 years after Dorian battered the island. As for home repairs,
when the program was first launched, it was geared towards persons without insurance to help them get back on their feet. So altogether, the DRA has approved 1,216 homeowners for repairs in the Abaco and the Keys. They spent on home repairs to post persons, most without insurance, $5.8 million so far.
In other news, weeks after hundreds of illegal Haitian migrants were captured and held on Inagua, they've all been repatriated. Immigration Minister Keith Bell says today's repatriation exercises started with 64 migrants transported from the Carmichael Road Detention Center.
That flight would have gone down to Inagua, where they would have picked up an additional 64 irregular migrants that were housed down there in Matthewtown, and they went on to Cape Haitian. So that's a total of 128 irregular migrants that were repatriated this morning.
Hours later, Bell says another Bahamas Air flight carrying 106 migrants left Matthewtown, Inagua for Haiti. In total, 234 migrants were repatriated today. The immigration minister says the past few weeks have been a challenge, and he's glad it's finally over.
The migrants were, first of all, were treated with humanely. Secondly, to ensure that they were given food, shelter, water. I would like to thank the residents of Inagua for putting up with the challenges that were faced down there. And let me indicate, they were all repatriated. There was no outbreak of any disease or famine, I'm advised.
Well, a slightly cooler evening outside our studios. Greg Thompson has the latest from the Weather Center.
Thanks, Christina, and welcome everybody for your first look at weather on this beautiful Thursday evening outside our studios. Temperatures right now in the low to mid 80s, 83 degrees, with a light northeasterly wind. A few clouds, we call it mild, and your feels like temperature in the mid 80s. Satellite view, quiet across the area as a ridge of high pressure dominates. We have a few patchy clouds, maybe an isolated shower or two around the area. Conditions clearing up later on tonight. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, hundreds register for pop-up vaccinations at UB, and reinstated police officers ready to return to active duty. Find out more after this.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
First and second doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine and the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine were available on the campus of the University of the Bahamas today during a Ministry of Health pop-up vaccination event. While there was a number system in place, some people weren't happy with the process.
They started at 10. You had persons walking at all different types of times. At first they told us just to sit in rows. Then they added extra rows. So then you had the persons who were here from early.
It is because I have an appointment. My appointment is for 10:30.
You made an appointment to be here?
Yeah. I live all the way out east. And here am I.
I mean, it wasn't organized at first, but I went to GL Isaacs and that's pure chaos. It's everybody bum rushing the door, and that's just chaos there.
Well, that man ended up being sent back to the Kendall Isaacs Gymnasium, but he left due to the crowd. UB Vice President of Operations Ronnie Stevenson says 200 people were expected to be vaccinated at the Franklin Wilson Business Center today.
We wanted to try and encourage our staff, not only and the neighboring communities, to get their vaccinations. This is the first day. We don't know if we're going to do it again, depending on the turnout. I understand that we have more than 185 persons actually vaccinated, and we have a number of walk-ups that we're hoping to get them out as well today.
Shifting gears, 2 of the 3 senior police officers who returned to work after being placed on leave and reassigned in 2019 say they are eager to return to duty. Assistant Commissioner Clayton Fernander spoke with the media for the first time since his return from a special assignment at the Ministry of Health. Fernander had a number of recommendations to help in the crime fight.
Crime committed by firearms. It is too high out there. And I will all recommend to the Commissioner that we should move back to the gun court, just to focus on the gun matters that appears before the court.
ACP Ken Strawn was also placed on special assignment. He says he's more interested in doing what he can to keep Bahamians safe.
I continue to look forward to being a part of this organization with the one desire: continue to serve you, the members of the public, working in collaboration with all to try to continue to bring about a safe community.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Straight ahead, Grand Bahama's Beacon School goes green. And please for more housing on storm-ravaged Abaco. The details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. Students at Grand Bahama's Beacon School are taking big steps to protect the environment for generations to come. This as they join a global network of students who are part of the Eco Schools program.
There's a famous Native American proverb that goes, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children." Borrow, 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 borrow. That's right. We are borrowing from the future generation.
Students at the Beacon School are taking matters into their own hands through the Eco Schools program, in a move that educators like Hazel Adams hope will spread awareness and knowledge out into the wider communities.
It's all part of a holistic development, how they think, how they respond to and see how their actions could affect anything that's affect the planet as a whole.
The school has already taken tangible steps and laid the foundation for the program, including the school's garden.
Trying to use more natural produce in our diet, because if it's one thing that we are recognizing is that our diet is not the best, and that is because of all of the processed foods that we have to be using.
And the Potter's Barn, where red clay found in East End is reclaimed, processed, strained, and used to create unique pottery. Keep Grand Bahama Clean Committee co-chair Olethea Gardner says students have seen young activists like Greta Thunberg take the stage on environmental issues. Now they can make a difference at home.
The Eco Schools program has that same mindset.
So the Beacon School is now one of our newest schools to the Eco Schools program. The Keep Grandmama Clean Committee has served as the island coordinator for the past 8 years, and we have worked along with 5 other schools within the program.
Well, Abaco Chamber of Commerce President Ken Hutton is calling for the construction of a new housing development to address the critical shortage of homes on that storm-battered island.
We would like to suggest a new housing community, which would be located between Central Pines and the Cutoff Road. The area that you see there, 360 acres, is government land. It's high land. It's about between 15 and 20 meters above sea level. It's away from the water. It would be an ideal location for housing, commercial, multi-use facilities. This is something that could happen right away. And it could be done as a PPP. It could be done very, very quickly.
During today's Abaco Business Outlook, the chamber chief raised questions about the mud.
Suggestion has been made for the mud. Nothing has been done since the cleanup, apart from putting up fencing. The Abaco Chamber of Commerce, in conjunction with local government council, proposed a community park and memorial garden for the area of the mud, which is about 16 acres. In conjunction with local and foreign NGOs that also worked on the project with us. It would be 100% funded by donations. It would provide a green space for the community, which we do not have right now, walking paths, children's playground, an amphitheater, a community event space, a memorial garden so that we could remember those we lost.
Up next, the visually impaired urge to love their eyes on this World Sight Day. Stay tuned.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. More passing showers ahead. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks again, Christina, and welcome everybody for your second look at weather. Quiet around the area in the tropics. A couple of areas that we're watching a few tropical waves, but the area that's east of the Bahamas, National Hurricane Center giving that a low to medium chance for formation over the next couple of days as it pulls towards the north and east away from the islands. Ridge of high pressure will dominate our weather into the weekend with just beautiful conditions expected. Beaching and boating forecasts for all areas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the northeast to east at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe evening, everybody. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. Well, members of the visually impaired community raising awareness about some of the issues they face as countries mark World Sight Day. President of KRM Group, Kendrick Roll, says it's more than just a day, it's about a lifetime of work.
We in the KRM Group have done a number of initiatives that would support persons being able to protect their eyes or preserve their sight, as well as assisting persons who are already blind and adapting to their new life. As far back as December, we did a drive called A White Cane Christmas. And through the support of a very enthusiastic individual called Melanie Nixon, she is a student at the Life of Key School. She made a donation along with the members of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. They made donations and we were able to get white canes and we distributed them to a number of individuals here in New Providence.
World Sight Day is recognized on the second Thursday of October, bringing global attention to vision impairment, including blindness. This year's theme is Love Your Eyes. According to the World Health Organization, at least 1 billion people globally have near or distance vision impairment that could be prevented or has yet to be addressed. 27-year-old Deron Baston is a diabetic who began to lose his sight in 2019.
I started losing my sight in 2018. I went fully blind in 2019, March of 2019. And I was sheltered and then didn't want to talk to nobody and come outside. Then I came across the Bahamas Alliance of Blind and Visually Impaired. They helped me open up.
Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Stay tuned for a new episode of On the Record with Jerome Sawyer. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.